Welcome again, everyone, to our Facebook Live event called We Set the Model. I'm Rebecca Vogt. I'm the Media Relations Specialist here at Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center in Buffalo, New York. And again, if you're wondering why we are all here, we're going to have to hit that rewind button, pop the tape in the VCR, and hit the rewind. So 50 years ago, in 1971, President Richard Nixon, he declared his quote-unquote war on cancer, and he committed to a pivotal piece of legislation that became the National Cancer Act of 1971. And in the process, he launched the Cancer Centers program, a coordinated nationwide effort to bring great cancer care research and education within reach of all Americans, and looked at 3 model centers to be emulated. We're talking about MD Anderson in Texas, Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York City, and Roswell Park right here in Buffalo, New York, the oldest center dedicated to cancer research. Now, in the lead up to signing that legislation, the National Cancer Act, the House of Representatives had a subcommittee that oversaw the effort, and they had several hearings, and only one of them was outside of Washington, D.C., and it happened in October of 1971, this month exactly. And the subcommittee actually came right here to Buffalo, to Roswell Park, to see a comprehensive cancer center in action. And I do also just want to thank at this time our resident historian Cynthia Schwartz and also our archivist Daniel Glynn, who searched through all of our archives here. We have a lot of them. There's a lot of history here, and they pulled out a lot of bits and pieces related to the visit to our campus. Now, in this hearing, which is a final push, if you will, doctors and key administrators from Roswell Park, as well as a local congressman, all spoke very persuasively for the need for dedicated federal funds to enable high-quality cancer research and innovative new treatments, which all shape the act and the legacy of comprehensive cancer care that has followed over the last 50 years. Now, I'm going to probably stop talking soon, and we gotta toss it over to our wonderful guests who are here right now. We're gonna weave history throughout this talk, so please do not go away. So we're gonna turn it over to our 2 wonderful esteemed guests who are with us, and I'm going to introduce both of them now. We have Dr. Candice Johnson, Roswell Park's president and CEO, and Congressman Brian Higgins, who also is co-chair of the House of Representatives Cancer Caucus. And for anyone out there, I meant to plug this first. If you're following along on social media, you want to check out the hashtags NCA50 and hashtag WeSetTheModel. There's going to be a couple questions back and forth, but Dr. Johnson, I'm going to start with you. And I know you answered it so wonderfully the first time, and I know you will again. But could you first give us some perspective on the state of cancer care and what it was like in the 1970s?
So yes, if you back forward to 1971, it was a very different time. Cancer was not talked about in circles because it was sort of this disease. People were, once you got it, it was usually very advanced. The treatments were extremely toxic, all based on the premise that let's try to design a drug that's going to kill an ability of a cell to grow and divide. And so what it did is it killed your own cells. And led to these huge toxicities. And so cancer treatments were, and they weren't effective particularly, and we didn't know a whole lot about science in those days. It was really sort of a scientific revolution in the 60s and 70s. But cancer was a problem in this community all around the country, and needed to have a focus. Here was a disease, we didn't know what caused it. It was a complicated disease. It started in various sites around the body. It could start in a solid organ, or you could have a blood cancer. And the treatments were very, very different. And so if you're, as a scientist, what a complicated and complex process. And the only way we were going to make headway in this terrible disease that nobody even wanted to say, Grandma has cancer, is to study it, to investigate it, to put dollars towards it so we could find cures.
So crucial, so pivotal,
crucial.
Yes. Congressman Higgins, one of the interesting things we pulled up when we were looking in some of our archives, and this is also lends itself to what you do. You often use your time on the floor in Congress to talk about the importance of federal funding for cancer research. So yeah, at the hearing that happened here at Roswell Park in October of 1971, a local congressman, Jack Kemp, he said the nation at the time spent $110 per person in defense every year, but only 89 cents per person on cancer. Now, reflecting on this and your position on the Cancer Caucus, has this changed? What has changed? And how do we keep up the fight for cancer federal funds?
Jack Kemp was a conservative, and he believed, he was making the argument that we should be spending more in cancer research and using defense spending as a comparison. Wars they impose costs on people. There's no value to wars. When you invest in cancer research, you're investing in the American people who are afflicted with this disease, which it is a disease, and you're finding better ways to treat. You know, historically, you could cut cancer out through surgery, you could burn it out through radiation, you could kill it by chemical therapy, chemotherapy. Now we have immunotherapy. We have groundbreaking studies that were done right here at Roswell, making the connection between smoking and cancer. You could eliminate 30 to 35% of all cancer deaths by eliminating smoking. Early detection is very important. Less than 10% of cancer deaths are attributed to the original tumor. It's when cancer advances, when it moves, when it metastasizes, that it becomes deadly. So all of these groundbreaking studies, most of them were done right here at Roswell and then shared with the rest of the nation. So, you know, Jack Kemp was very wise, and President Nixon was very wise to undertake this as a national responsibility. But keep in mind, 71 years before this, the first recorded public funding for cancer research was New York State to what eventually became Roswell Park.
Exactly.
So, but it took the federal government takes a while to get there. But 71 years, the war on cancer proved to be highly effective in, you know, reducing deaths attributed to cancer.
Yes.
And I will also note, though, too, that the Department of Defense today, the DoD, does fund some cancer research.
do.
So, I mean, you know,
They
kind
do.
of come full circle in a way, too. Another question for you, Congressman. In your years of public service, what benefits to Americans have you seen from the funds that go through the NCI to cancer centers like Roswell Park?
Back in 1971, less than 50% of those who were stuck with cancer, both kids and adults, lived 5 years beyond their diagnosis. Today it's 85% for kids. It's nearly 70% for adults. The knowledge that has been shared, when there were critical studies here, they appeared in the American Journal of Medicine. So they were shared with the entire nation. So just being smart about addressing the problem, not only in terms of clinicians, in terms of research, but just the knowledge that's been gained and shared with people so they could make better life decisions to, you know, reduce the incidences of cancer. And more people are living with cancer than are dying from cancer. So just extraordinary, extraordinary advances in research, in therapies. And Roswell is number 14 in the entire nation out of more than 800 cancer centers in the country. And the metrics are survival, patient satisfaction, advanced technologies, effectiveness in colorectal surgeries and lung cancer surgeries. Just an extraordinary place.
You've seen innovation right in front of your very eyes. Dr. Johnson, to sort of wrap out our segment with both of you, how has the way we study cancer and the way we treat it changed over these 50 years? And how did Roswell Park contribute to those advances?
So, you know, the only way to get to those innovative treatments is to study how does cancer start, how does it grow, how does it metastasize, as the congressman said, that because those are the things that you don't survive from when it travels to other sites of your body. So we needed to study it, and we needed to determine how to develop the best therapies. And so, you know, Roswell was on the groundbreaking floor with chemotherapy, even just chemotherapy, those toxins that were pretty toxic, but they did result in cures for many patients. We were in the groundbreaking studies with chemotherapy photodynamic therapy is using light in a very innovative way to treat cancer. And also the PSA test, the test that men still to this day get to screen for prostate cancer, was developed here, the exact same test by Ming Chu. So it's we played a very big role in moving these innovative therapies forward, and now we're even on the cusp of using the immune system to fight cancer. The immune system is a very powerful system, and now, after all these years, the 50 years of the National Cancer Act, we actually see cures in certain kinds of tumors that we never saw before. I mean, the C word, cures, not just you've gone into remission, we hope for the best, cross your fingers, but cures. So it's a very exciting time to be in cancer research, and I think the future is very bright for us ahead.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you both for that incredible insight to bring us up to speed to 2021. We will close out our event with both Dr. Johnson and the Congressman, so please stay tuned for their final remarks. If you are just tuning in right now, we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of the momentous National Cancer Act of 1971, which you can follow with the hashtag NCA50 and the hashtag WeSetTheModel on social media. All right, now we are going to pivot to longtime cancer survivor Stacy Smith. I've had a chance to get to know her over the last month or so, and she is an incredible human being and has a great story to tell. In the mid-1970s, Stacy came here to Roswell Park as a toddler for a rare type of sarcoma. She is here today to share a little bit more of her journey and how she has grown into her own after being here at the hospital helped her to heal. So Stacy, thank you so much for finally joining us and being with us today. So you were just 2 years old when you were seen here, and I know you kind of joked with me when we were chatting over the phone that you said this was when Roswell Park still had a duck pond out front. Yeah. You came here with a bump on your face, and doctors were able to diagnose you. So from what you were told and what you can remember, because I'm sure it's tough as a 2-year-old, and what maybe your parents told you, can you tell us about your journey here?
Yeah. Well, what I remember is, obviously the duck pond. I'll probably never forget that. It was a very happy memory, going through everything. But what I read and what I, learned from my parents was that, a bump appeared on the face. My mom thought I just hit myself, and we came to originally Children's Buffalo Hospital, and they did surgery and removed 2 lesions. They grew back within a few months, and so they sent me here. And that's where they did chemotherapy and radiation.
And I was told you saw a Dr. Green, correct?
Yes.
And Dr. Green was a very pivotal pediatric oncologist here, saw many patients throughout the years, and I know that after his time here, and you had a chance to see him probably right as he was heading out, then went to St. Jude, which is also a comprehensive cancer center, part of this whole network of NCI that we're celebrating this year. And now, sort of transitioning to this day, you come back to our campus for appointments still, and you come to our head and neck clinic, and that really truly highlights our model of comprehensive care. And I mean, for you, your perspective, what is it like to come back here as a cancer survivor nearly 30 years, nearly 30 years after you were treated?
It's comforting because a lot of I do the dental here. And when I was seeing another dentist, they didn't know what was going on in the mouth from the radiation. And so being here, I feel safe. They know what's going on, and now I'm just pretty much, going through and just making sure everything stays good.
Who do you get to see here? Who do you come and hang out with?
When I come to, get my teeth cleaned, it's Gwen Tessman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you have told me through multiple conversations that you continue to be both an advocate for cancer screenings, and you also, though, have followed sort of a holistic path. And you've also become a yoga teacher as well in the process. Now, you told me that there were a couple things, sort of a wake-up call of sorts that led you to this. Can you share a little bit more about that journey?
Yeah, so the age I am right now is the age my mother died of stomach cancer. And she did not come here. I wanted her to, but her choice. I was only 27. And then 4 years ago, I lost my father to lung cancer. He had skin cancer. And I just kind of looked at everyone's diet, you know, if they were drinking, smoking, and I didn't want to be, you know, dying young. I wanted preventative. So I started holistic nutrition, and the weight just started coming off, and then I became a yoga teacher, and I kind of just found tools to learn to heal with and just be a little healthier, preventative. And I feel great.
Good, good. Is there anything else you've taken from your journey, your time spent here that you've applied to your everyday life now?
I guess, you know, I come and do the survivor picnics and things, so just the inspiration from others. You know, when you follow this stuff and you see the newsletters and things like that, that's what really inspired me to be here, to get my face out there as a survivor and help others find hope and inspiration.
Now, one of the things I know that we were talking about, you know, so you mentioned the survivorship, our picnics, our chapter 2 that we have had for several years. I know that we've been on pause due to the pandemic and everything. We hope to get those back sometime soon. Really driving home that even though you're done with your care here, I mean, it really doesn't stop. You come back, we have programs and supportive things for you. And I know one thing you mentioned that was when you were younger, there was not necessarily the therapy there, which we do offer now through supportive and survivorship. What is it like knowing though that young adults these days now have access to some of our child life specialists and psychologists that they can reach out to when going through cancer journey?
Yeah, to me, I think that's a great thing that's come along, because I struggled growing up, you know, not understanding the scar, the little deformation, the dental work, you know. I was so young. So I do like seeing that, because I think it's going to really help people to heal, and that's the bottom line. You know, understanding what's happening and finding the tools or creating the tools to heal and carry on.
Wonderful. Stacy, thank you. Thank you so much for getting up here on stage today. I mean, I applaud you so much for not only the strength that helped you and your family face your cancer when you were so young, but now just how you've grown into your own, and that, again, you came here and you wanted to say, I wanted to share my story and tell it to the world, tell it to Western New York and the rest of the Facebook land.
Right.
So thank you again
I
very
appreciate it.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Again, if you are tuning in, please be sure to utilize the hashtags NCA50 and also hashtag #WeSetTheModel if you're following along on social media and you feel so inclined to share all of this. We now transition along to our third set of wonderful, esteemed guests. On top of top-notch clinical care for each and every patient who walks through our doors, comprehensive cancer centers, they give us the rich research that shapes the treatments of tomorrow, plus offering up educational programs for students of all ages. And we also have a responsibility to serve the communities we live in by addressing their biggest health concerns. So sharing their perspectives now on how that important work all unfolds here at centers like Roswell Park and beyond. We have with us cancer researcher Dr. Adam Sumlin and Dr. Elisa Rodriguez, who is our Chief Diversity and Equity Officer for faculty. So thank you guys both for taking your time to be here with us today. Dr. Sumlin, I think I have a question for you first. And it's a little bit, Dr. Johnson touched upon it before when we looked at some of the stuff in the 1970s. So our model is based on research supporting advances in clinical care. And you have mentioned, again, Dr. Johnson mentioned earlier, how important that was for photodynamic therapy, or PDT, which started to take off in the 70s. And I'm also told that there was a lot of collaboration to get that all off the ground. Can you kind of talk us through that?
Yeah, Dr. Thomas Doherty started this, and the way this started out was that he had this idea of using a therapy, using light therapy. And the way he did it was he took a fast flashlight, shined it over his hand, and he saw that the light came through his hand. So he said, well, how can we develop something that will treat cancer? And he said, let's use laser and a non-toxic photosensitizer to do it. So what he did was, looking at it from a single laboratory was going to be hard to take it from the bench top to the bedside. So he decided to get some brain power using a multidisciplinary approach, where he talked to a lot of researchers, a lot of clinicians, took it to the bedside with clinicians and clinical trials. And the way that that had to form was being in a comprehensive cancer center like this. So he brought it from a laboratory to Roswell Park, where this was instituted, and it went further to treat more patients, give them a new modality for treating them with, for cancer using light and drug.
And you worked on that too for quite some time too, right?
Yes, I did. I worked on that with him for over 20 years.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Sort of in a transition point, Dr. Rodriguez, I know as I did my little intro before, I talked about education, and I know you went through one of our programs here for your master's degree. Can you touch a little bit upon our academic offerings and then how we really shape the scientific leaders of tomorrow?
Sure. Actually, Dr. Sumlin was working here when I was a student in my master's program, so it's a small world. Roswell has an amazing educational program that really spans a few different levels of education. So we offer master's and doctoral degrees. There are also postdoctoral training opportunities, as well as summer training and enrichment programs for high school students and students even before they hit the college area. So these are just a few examples, but there's really a rich educational training environment here. I just remember actually being in this auditorium as a student, learning from Dr. Doherty about PDT while the science was actually happening, and being in an environment that provided me with a foundation for how to conduct research, how to set up a research project, which was a pivotal time. It ended up influencing me to go on to do a doctorate.
That really brings it full circle for you, for sure. And a question I have for both of you to address. We'll go back not too long ago, but about 30 years ago, beginning in the early 1990s, the NCI made it a formal responsibility for comprehensive cancer centers to be doing more community outreach, more to make sure that our information and our advances are reaching into every corner of our communities. Can you both give us first an overview of how Roswell Park is helping to lead in those areas? And then also, what obstacles do we still have to overcome? What sort of challenges remain? So first, let's talk about what we are doing, and I'll let either of you take that on.
Well, for me, Roswell Park opened the door for prostate cancer, where we started reaching out to the community to try to lure more men to the facility just so that they can get screened and learn more about prostate cancer. The problem here is that we find out that for African American men, they're not utilizing the center because of the fact of fear. So how do we get the fear out of them? We have to educate them. We have to go out, communicate with them, showing them that we can give them a better quality of life if they learn what we're doing. We can also show them that they have to be their own advocates in order to make this a better program for them. And the door has been open from Roswell for us to do that, and open the door for the patients to come in and talk and then unite with us saying that this is a better place for them.
Education is more than just the programs we offer here.
Exactly.
It is just, we got to reach our hand out and touch the people who are right in our backyard as
That's
well.
correct.
So same questions to you, Dr. Rodriguez. What are we doing well, and where are our challenges?
I think one of the biggest things that has helped to really strengthen community outreach and education and engagement has been the creation of the COE, and really having that be something that has been pervasive across the Cancer Center. I think COE and community outreach and education, what that stands for is something that goes across Roswell. Everyone has a responsibility and a mission that ties to our community in terms of addressing cancer burden and really making sure that we are doing everything we can to get the information, the state of the science, the healthcare services, the educational programs we offer, really soup to nuts out to our area, but also across the states. It's just really a powerful piece of what the Cancer Center offers, and you just can't even put a value on how important that has become to cancer centers.
And I think we would be remiss to say that we're not alone in this. I mean, there are centers all across the country who have the same designation as us, a very prestigious designation, and we all work together. So how has participation in the NCI and with other comprehensive cancer centers have benefited our patients as well as our community?
We learn from each other. We're a network that is part of a special group, that we have this very specific focus, but within that focus there's so much diversity. There's diversity in what we study in terms of the various cancers, there's diversity in the scientific disciplines, there's diversity in the communities that we reach. So we are part of a special group, and through various projects that NCI offers, we have bidirectional communication and share barriers and share wins and things that we're doing well and learn from each other. So it really has become a way to connect folks in order to become this learning community that is really helping us to do better.
Dr. Sumlin, anything to add?
Yeah, I think that it opens the door for us to collaborate, gives us the ability to work together, showing that if we have something that they can piggyback on and enhance it to the benefit of all. I think that that's what we do, and that's why working together with other comprehensive centers benefits everyone, not just one. We're not a one-size-fits-all.
That's a very good way to put it, and a good way to wrap out our chat with the two of you. So thank you both, Dr. Sumlin and Rodriguez, for again taking your time out of your day to join us, enlightening us, and taking a deeper dive into our programs and offerings. If you guys are still with us and you're looking to engage with us on social media, again, the two hashtags to utilize are hashtag NCI50 and hashtag WeSetTheModel. Oh, and look who is back and joining us to close out our program today, Dr. Johnson and Congressman Higgins. Welcome back on set. Again, we wanted to thank everyone who has taken time to participate today. But now we are going to turn it back to both of you for some final thoughts. Congressman Higgins, what do you see as sort of the main legacies of the National Cancer Act of 1971?
Well, the advancements in the survival rate is incredible. New therapies that are available to people beyond the traditional ones. Immunotherapy has been around for 100 years, but it was discarded for these more traditional therapies. Now it's back as a leader. Candice Johnson is a leader, a national leader. Roswell Park is a national leader. And when you fund cancer research, which started back in 1971 with the National Cancer Act, it saves lives and it saves money. And that's what we should be doing for our people. And whether you live in Buffalo or somewhere else in the country, a lot of the things that are available to people today that weren't even 30 years ago were clinically trialed and tested right here at Roswell. Herceptin for an aggressive form of metastatic breast cancer, and so many others. And all of the firsts were discovered right here at Roswell and made available not only to America, but to the world. And that's an incredible legacy. And the National Cancer Act of 1971 helped to push those technologies advancements forward.
And Dr. Johnson, what do you think? Where do we go from here? I mean, you sit at the helm of a wonderful ship here at Roswell Park. What are our biggest opportunities and responsibilities, not only for us at Roswell Park, but cancer centers all across the U.S.?
So, unfortunately, people are still dying from cancer, and one of the things, and they're not getting screened. Early detection, it does save lives. There's no question about it. And so I think we really need to make a bigger effort, especially after COVID. During COVID, people didn't go get screened, and so they're presenting now with more aggressive cancers, harder to treat. So I think we need to, going forward, really focus on screening, really focus on trying to get into our communities and get people in through the door sooner. And then I think for all of you out there, the future is really bright for these innovative therapies. The more and more we learn about the immune system, the more we're going to be able to save lives using this incredible technology. Dr. Brentjens, who is here, is a world's expert in cellular therapies. And so once again, as the Congressman stated, Roswell is going to be right in the front line in all of these things. And I thank all of you for coming today.
We're going to have to stay tuned for what comes
Yes,
around the corner
yes, you
from
are.
us.
It's going to be good.
And that about does it here for our Facebook Live today. I do want to add two things. So there is a blog currently up on our Cancer Talk blog about the 50th anniversary, so be sure to check that out. I also know that there is an upcoming blog about our patient Stacy, who you also heard from today, so keep your eyes peeled on that. So thank you all for taking the time to tune in here on Facebook Live to learn more about the National Cancer Act of 1971 and the 50th anniversary. But if you want to learn a little bit more, we do have a landing page. It's roswellpark.org/WeSetTheModel, and you can check out lots of history, facts, timelines, you name it over there. So again, big thank you to everyone, and have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Well done.